Welcome to the West Virginia Case Podcast, hosted by Les Odell. Join us as we dive deep into all things strange, including Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, and more. Pull up a chair and set for a spell. It's going to be a great time. Now, without further delay, let's get the show started.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey folks, welcome back to the West Virginia Case Podcast. It's been a awesome week this week. Last weekend was a great weekend. We had our camp out, had several folks there. It's always in the chat rooms and regulars come out to spend some time with me. We had a great time. Had some interesting things happen to a couple of the campers. We found a couple of things that's kind of cool. Yeah, we had a great time. It was a little bit cold. Daytime wasn't too bad. It was, I think it hit the 70s. I think the first night I was there was 29 or 30, something like that. Wes and Danny went down on Thursday. They said Friday morning it was extremely cold. They said it was probably in the mid 20s or something like that. But it wasn't too bad on Saturday morning or Sunday morning. It was probably in the 30s, but definitely a good time. We had a fun time, and can't wait to do it again. Probably going to do it in the spring. Maybe one in the spring, and then again maybe in the fall. We'll see how everything goes. We might try to check out a couple different areas. This time we went to Laurel Fork. Next time we may go to the Canaan Loop area outside of Blackwater Falls. But Canaan Loops or Laurel Fork's a nice area, nice little campground. Very affordable. It's like $8 a night per site, not a person. It's $8 a night, and we ended up sharing 3 sites, and there was 12 of us there all together, and we had some friends that were nearby come in and spend some time with us also. And we want to give a big shout out to Vesta for supplying and treating us to a chili dinner on Saturday evening. So we had a good time there. And we see that we have already in the chat room, we got Tony. Tony was there. Tammy was there. Dave was there. What are we going here? This is okay. People are posting on Facebook and it's popping in there. But anyway, we had a great time. But with that being said, I want to bring on our guest tonight. Brian Seech is a friend of mine that we met a few years ago. I think it was at Beaver Creek State Park. I went up to a Bigfoot event, and I wanted to meet Brian, and I wanted to meet Fred Sluga, and they were both there, and that's how we got together and kind of become friends. Used to go to Brian's meetings. He used to have up, I think it was Butler County, I think it was. I can't remember the county for sure, but we used to go up to this restaurant. And he would hold meetings, and him and his wife, and a lot of cool stuff would happen. A lot of people would talk. There was a lot of information was shared, and so Brian's been into it for a long time, and he's kind of my opinion, a mentor of mine. I kind of look up to him, what he does and how he does it. And well, without any more jabbering here, let's bring Brian on. Hey, Brian.
How you doing, Les?
I'm doing well, man. How you been?
Been good.
Good.
I'm on vacation for a couple days, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of envy you a little bit there. I already took mine this year. I won't take mine until next year, until probably we're thinking probably again maybe in the spring or maybe in the summer this year. I took it last year Easter time and went to Lake Erie and spent some time with the family up there. But I think we're gonna wait till later in the year for the next one.
Yeah, I still have a good bit yet. So I have around the holidays. I extended my holidays coming up, so it'll be fun.
There you go. That's the best way to play it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Brian, what I usually do is I just have the guests come on. I mean, I don't really ask like prior, for a bio or anything. I'd rather hear the guests themselves tell me, about them, about their research, just in general, just let you go, talk about it, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, sure. Well, my wife Terry and I, we actually have two research groups. This is for anybody who doesn't really know us. We started our first one in '86. It's called Q, Center for Unexplained Events, and we started our second one in 2012, and it's Center for Cryptozoological Studies, or CCS. So we actually just moved down here from Hopewell, Beaver County. We moved down here 3 years ago. So, kind of like since we've been here, we're working with Fred Saluga. Fred's been down here, I think, maybe 15 years, 14 years. And so he's been researching this area since then. And pretty much everybody knows him down here. I think Fred was on your show several weeks ago. So, so we're kind of the newbies down here for 3 years. But the pretty interesting thing, since we've been here, we've worked with Fred. So we've had, I'm reading notes here, guys. So if you see me looking over here, I can't remember all that stuff. I'm getting old. So since we've been here, we've had 7 events. Fred and us. We had Palmerston Run Bigfoot Day for 3 years. Cabela's in 2023. Brook County Bigfoot Day in 23. Folklore Fest in 23. And the West Virginia Panhandle Conference in 3. And next year, we're still going to do the Panhandle Conference and the Tomlinson Run, only we're doing it this time in October. We're going to make it a paranormal event. October 6th, I think, is the day. So, yeah, it's been interesting down here. As you know, this is the mountain state, right? 75% covered with mountains, 78% forested.
Right.
And it's I kind of wish that we got here like maybe 10 years ago when we were a little bit younger. We could walk up and down these hills easier, but between that and a lot of the people not really wanting to talk, not here. So we live out. We say we live in a holler outside of Weirton, West Virginia. So if people don't know where that is, it's between Pennsylvania and Ohio. It's that thin sliver that goes between both of them. We always say it's the we're the tip of the middle finger of West Virginia.
Right.
And well, we since we've been down here, I'm trying to look at here. So we've got about 4 since we've been out 4 Bigfoot reports out of Hancock, 1 out of Brook County, and then 1 out of Ohio County. So we're basically going to research that Panhandle. Might go back down into Marshall a little bit where Wheeling is, and we still going to do our areas in because we're from Beaver County, Beaver, Washington, Allegheny, and also over into Columbiana County, Ohio, Beaver Creek State Park.
Right.
Researching that for maybe 14 years or something, 15 years. That's our hotspot. That's one of the places. If I only could go one place, that's where the place I would go. So that's kind of what's been happening since we've been down here. We also still do get things from PA. Okay. So lately, probably in the last year, so we did get 1 Bigfoot report. It was I think it was last November. No, last October, and it was out of Raccoon Creek State Park, which really is maybe 10 miles from us now where we're at.
Yeah.
We also received a couple of the light anomaly reports like you have. One was in Butler County in Renfro, and we actually, me and John McDonald, he was another member, about 4 or 5 years ago, we went out there and they were seeing these light spheres is what we call them. They actually even had it looked like they sent me a picture of what looked like a Bigfoot standing at the wood line. And this was about 5 years ago. And the other one we got was down here in Brook County by Fallensby. I think it was at the end of January where a gentleman saw this one light and then it kind of twisted and turned into 2. He did send me a short video of the one light. Again, it was white. We don't know what it is. Didn't make any noise. We didn't think it was a plane. He didn't think it was a plane. And he probably watched it for maybe 40 seconds. And he got maybe 20-second video out of it. So that's kind of some of the things we've been doing been doing down here, other than, working and going to the conferences and promoting, kind of like you do. So,
Right.
and then, that bad 4-letter word called life, right? We all have jobs,
Right.
right? And we got to do that. So we try to do as many things as we can. We've done hikes down in Tomlinson Run Park. There was one at the backwaters on Route 2 that I did myself on Sunday. We also did with our friend Jeff and Scott. It's a place in Hancock County called Purgatory, and it was
Right.
an old camp in Hancock County. So those are some of the things that kind of been going on for us.
Yeah, I need to come up that way. I'd like to go on a couple of hikes with you guys.
Yeah.
I seen where you guys. I think it was a while back. You and Scott and Jeff went on that. Then you Purgatory. I seen you.
Yeah.
I'd like to go there. I'd like to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Get you to see the S-Files too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, Brian and Terry have probably. I was reading there. I almost said Tammy. Brian and Terry have one of the biggest collections of books, files, newspaper clippings, and I don't know what all is in there, but that I've ever, I've seen pictures of it, but I've never seen anything else like it in my life. It's probably the. I mean, people talk about like the Gray Barker files. And I've been to the Gray Barker files in the room at Clarksburg. You guys surpassed that. I mean, every bit, surpassed that. And there's a lot of stuff there. So, with that being said, how long have you been doing this, and how long has the Seech files, the S files, been, alive? I guess you'd say.
Oh, so we actually we were married in '85, and we started the group in '86. And it, Terry runs the groups, like I always tell everybody. She's sitting over here is why I keep looking over there. And she runs the group. She actually does all the presentations, which we're in the middle of trying to get ready for 2 here, and 2 in the next 4 days. So, I mean, we've been lucky because we have Fred Saluga. He's our mentor. Dr. Paul Johnson. He's the second longest researcher in Pennsylvania, and we've had people like Rick Fisher, Dan Hagman, Jody Cook. All these people had donated information to our files, and there's just so many things. Like, so I'm doing this upcoming Tuesday. I'm doing a presentation on Bigfoot in Beaver County in Chippewa, and I actually even forgot that there was 2 sightings at Brady's Run Park, one in '62 and then one in '70. And the one thing that I forgot is I'm going to mention this at the presentation, is when the creature it was a dark brownish creature in both instances, about 8 or 9 years, difference. And in both instances, the creature put its hands up, which I thought was really, and I even forgot that this happened. And I told Terry, I says, wow, because the first one came in to the PA Bigfoot Society when I was a member there. And no one ever followed it up because the guy, he would never get back to you. But again, it's pretty interesting when you have like older files and even 8 or 9 years, hey, this creature did the same exact thing 9 years later, and it was the same color and everything. So maybe it was, it was there and people were still seeing it, which is interesting as hell. I think it's just, one of those things that when you start to see patterns, even no matter how many years or how many different people, when they see the same thing and they don't know each other, or it's pretty compelling. So people are seeing something. I don't know what Bigfoot is. Okay. We kind of say the Bigfoot phenomenon more than we even say Bigfoot, because there are some strange, as you know, there are some strange aspects to some of these sightings. Again, I'm not saying that I believe in all of them. We're usually pretty well on the fence on both. We take everything into consideration because, we also started out as UFO investigators. So, and also we've done paranormal research, and we were down with you at the what was that hotel?
That was the Elk Hostel.
Yeah. And we were with you when the little incident happened. And so we've done that. We actually did an investigation this last Saturday at the Brooke County Playhouse, and there were some interesting responses to some of the questions that we did. And we believe it was one of the ladies works there, her father, and she thinks it was her father because they even said her name. We said, who is sitting here? What is her name? And the name came out. I'm not going to mention the name, but the name came
Right.
out, and she just like looked at us. And they even asked, hey, you know, there's something on the wall in the back of the theater. Do you know what it said? And I think it said, what, Terry? I think it said family. Didn't it say family? I think.
Yeah.
And it said family. And then the voice said family. Now, I know that a lot of people, and again, you do have to be skeptical about the so-called ghost boxes. This was a plasma box. Our friends Rod and Annette had. And again, though, when you're asking a question and you seem to get a direct response, and it does make it a little more, wow, maybe there is something to this. Because, you know, you got to be on the fence about the boxes. I'm not 100% sure on those boxes, but man, it was kind of weird. And we also had one of the trigger objects was a ball that lit up almost like a cat ball. And then they also had a bell. And there was a couple, I don't remember how many times because Terry wrote it down. It would ding. It wouldn't go bing, but it would go ding, ding. And everybody was away from it. There's no way that you had to put pressure on the bell for something to do that. So so we do the paranormal research too. We just don't do a lot of it anymore, but we still do some.
Well, you started out in UFOs. How did you transfer or graduate from UFOs into Bigfoot?
Well, basically, so I grew up in the 70s. You know, I was born in 65, so I grew up in the 70s. And the 70s was a big time for UFO magazines. I mean, I grew up a sci-fi geek, and people know me. I'm still a sci-fi geek. Some people just think I'm a geek, right? But I watched all the UFO science fiction movies on all the Bigfoot. And at the time, when you picked up a lot of these magazines like UFO Report, National UFO, they occasionally had stories where Bigfoot was involved or seen with UFOs, sometimes even coming out of UFOs. And I know, like in 73 here, which is kind of, people joke about it, but 73 was the biggest UFO Bigfoot wave in the country. Longtime researcher Stan Gordon, he had over 118 sightings from 73 into 74. So that's how, I mean, I was always interested in Bigfoot too, because, I watched Boggy Creek, what was it? Leonard Nimoy in Search of, Creature from Black Lake, Mysterious Monsters is what got me into it. So it was still more, it was UFO at first, and then Bigfoot came along a little bit after. But I mean, is there a connection? I mean, I know, whether some people want to, say it is or not, there are certain cases where lights in the sky are seen with Bigfoot. Now, just recently, in the last 10 years, they're seeing the lights, like we had talked about beforehand. Sphere, we call them light spheres. Some people call them orbs, whatever you want to call them. Like in the last 10 years, people were saying, hey, I was out on a Bigfoot expedition at night, or I was on a Bigfoot hike or at night, and I see these white, orange, red spheres going through the trees, going up, down. And before you would hear just about, huge UFOs in the sky. Now you're hearing about little orbs and things like that. I don't know if there's a connection. It's just a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, and it may not be a new phenomenon like some people believe it is. I mean, because the whole wild man, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, is a more recent name. But the wild man stories, the wood devils and stuff like that. Yeah, you hear the old stories, but you also hear the old stories of the will o' the wisp. But did anybody back then, study it enough to put a connection that maybe these things were kind of, or come up with a connection or think they were connected? Probably not. I think that's the reason we see it a lot more now is because there's a lot more researchers out there and that share things together or back and forth with each other. And with the advent of the internet and stuff like that, everything's more out in the open. So people are willing to share. And now, because that widespread worldwide, is coming together and people realize, hey, this happened here, but it's also happening in Alaska or maybe happened in Maine. So, I mean, it just back then, I don't think there was that. Well, we know there was no connection, because there was no internet, the wire, I guess you'd say, take days to get a news story from one place to another. So, I think if there is a connection, I don't think there's a connection in all Bigfoot sightings, but I think there might be in some.
And some,
but I think, it's not a new thing. I still think it's more of it still has its history.
yeah, I think when I mentioned new, I think it's a lot more people now. It's more acceptable now. Like when we first started, when was it, 2000, I think, in the PA Bigfoot Society, people didn't say about uh, spheres or occasional UFO maybe, but they didn't say about spheres and things like that. It was mainly,
Yeah.
hey, I saw this creature cross the road. It's in my yard, blah blah blah. And now it seems like it's either more people are reporting it, and it was always a phenomenon, or maybe it's more of a phenomenon now.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do know that it's people are starting to talk about it and not getting laughed at anymore, and especially in the last probably 6-7 years. I mean, so it is an interesting subject, though. Bigfoot itself is interesting. UAPs, UFO spheres, however you want to. That's another interesting subject. So there's a lot of really weird things out there. We do the winged entity reports too, and we do the Dogman reports, which we've had. I think we've had 16 or 17 over the years, something like that, in the 3 states. And again, that if you want to talk about like giant dog, giant werewolf, that doesn't make any sense. But
right, it does.
People we talked to, they said, "Hey, I saw this thing," and he says, "I hate saying this." They say it looked like a Hollywood werewolf, and everybody knows what they are. Upright, huge wolf put them up on 2 legs. That's what they're saying it looks like. And again, when we first heard about that phenomenon was through one of Linda Godfrey's books, Hunting the American Werewolf. She had a section in there on the Shenango Valley werewolf, and Terry and I lived in Mercer County, Grove City specifically, and we never heard about it. And we weren't really doing the research that much then. We had the group, but with her work and me work, we didn't really get out and do many things. But we never heard about that. So this is I think is one of the neat things is every area, things like that, they have their own local creatures or nicknames for them and stuff. Down here, as Fred looked into, and then we got was the Beast of Bell Hill. Now that's a big thing down here. Bell Hill is probably 4 to 5 miles from our house. Okay, 4. She just flashed me the 4 sign, not the finger sign, just the 4 sign. But and we were lucky enough with Seth through Small Town Monsters that we were on the same series you were. Is what is it, Mountain Monsters, right?
Yeah.
And the one that we were on that one, and I was also on the Ridge one. But we did an episode where I had talked to an eyewitness from the Bell Hill Beast, and he actually was interviewed on. It was the episode called Season of the Sasquatch, and they did a really good job putting Weirton's name out there and everything, and we got a lot of responses and good publicity because of that. So we were happy we were able to get an actual eyewitness, because a lot of people talk about things down here, but when you go to get a report or they don't want to have anything to do with it, or they don't answer calls and everything like that. I think we're probably, if everybody would have contacted us, we probably would have had 15, 20 reports. Fred even more. But like he says, they'll tell you, hey, I saw this thing in the woods, and then you have a report and you try to, then they kind of get scared, like, especially down here. Like, I think over where you live, they're more apt over where you are than where we are, and which is kind of funny because Western Pennsylvania has always been a hotbed, and people will seem to talk about it more in Pennsylvania than they do here. Now, I can't say about anything else in West Virginia, but at least in this panhandle, we're starting to get the name out, so we're happy about that. But there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's that way across the state. I mean, it took a while. It took a while for me to get some, established, I guess you'd say. And it took a while for some people to come forward. People would send me stuff, but get them to meet me or talk on the phone, or like, I don't really want, no, I just rather send it to you. It's still that way. There's still people like will contact me, and they'll just want to share a little bit, and that's about it, or they'll just say, hey, or they'll be very vague. Yeah, I seen this, and that's about all.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll say, I don't really want it made public. I don't want anybody to know. I'm afraid that because of my job, or I don't want family members thinking I'm crazy. The same stuff you hear in most places. But yeah, it's still like that. Pretty much everywhere.
Okay. Now I know that I checked the BFRO database, and I also did GC BFRO, and I added the reports together that were only first class A, which meaning you saw something, even if it was a large dark figure. I included it in there, and I think there was like 90 something like that. But which I know I have your book, I have Russ Jones's 2 books, I have Dudding's book, and another researcher, which I'm not going to name his name, book. And there's like 5 books out on. He's laughing about it. There's five books about Bigfoot in West Virginia. Now, what I want to do is try to sit down and pick all these reports out and make sure there's no crossover. Just only the Class A sightings, add them in. I have a feeling once I do that, I bet I'm going to be close to 200.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot out there. I mean, like I said, when you'll start looking to different databases and stuff like that, there's a lot. And then, like I said, when you go to these events, you'll get somebody. They'll mention a little bit, but they don't really want to. They don't say a bunch. So, or now, if you would take secondhand stories, you'd have a ton, because like, hey, my dad's seen this, or I remember my grandpa told me this. Those are out there. Those are a dime a dozen, seems like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, whether there's something here or not, I haven't made that determination for me. Made it solid. But I do believe people are seeing something. I mean,
definitely.
I mean, yeah. And I've got friends that said, this is what I saw. Absolutely, this is what I saw. And I know those people, and I have to, because I know them and I know their character. I believe what they saw. Have I seen something myself that I can definitively say was a Bigfoot? Not yet. I haven't. I had a sighting. I had a sighting that could have been last year, but I to this day, I mean, I can't say I did. I mean, I can't say what it was. So, like I've always done, if when in doubt, you just got to throw it out for me, whenever I've investigated stuff. So,
So. I've never seen anything. We've heard some strange things. Beaver Creek, we heard the Ohio Howl. We heard some other sounds from Beaver Creek when we were there. 2 miles, is that what it's called? The 2 mile run. We had a couple experiences where, man, you couldn't see it. Even in Salt Fork, same thing at Salt Fork. You couldn't see it. Couldn't smell it. You couldn't hear it. But man, you felt like there was something there.
Right.
Especially at the Salt Fork the one time. If I would have had to put money that there was something there that night, that would be it. But since I did not see, me, Dave, Rupert, and Terry, and Carrie, we didn't have that foolproof. We had a thermal, we had a night vision, we had a what do you call it? Parabolic dish. Nothing on any of it. But man, we had other members that were at this. It was a handicap shelter. When we got there, they said, "Man, something's off." And as soon as we got out of our cars, all 4 of us felt it. And I have never felt that extreme. It's like, wow, something's there. We shouldn't be here. And people will talk about infrasound. Maybe these things can use infrasound like a tire or whatever to get you nervous and scared. But it was intense. Not quite as intense up at 2 Mile in Franklin, but enough to say it was very discomforting. And like, I think that we probably something there, but you can't say for sure. You don't, we were with the PA Bigfoot Society, they stress to be skeptical and don't, not every, like we always said too, and they always said, not every single thing in the woods is Bigfoot. Right. It's not. I'm sorry. Not every tree break, blah, 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 blah. It would look like a Planet of the Apes village out there, right?
Right.
Do they do those things? I'm definitely on the fence about it. A skeptic would say, well, if these creatures don't want to be found, why are they leaving all these markers all over the place? And
right.
It's kind of, if a wild creature doesn't want you to know where you're going, well, why would it put all the trees one way or make these big X's? I don't know. I mean, anytime we see anything like that, we do take pictures of it and note it. Mm-hmm. But like there's some groups that say, "Oh, this is a Bigfoot." There's just two trees
Yeah.
falling over like this.
Right.
I mean, there's wind damage. There's actually people doing some of these things now too, trying to make shelters and trying to fool people. You know, survivalists, Boy Scouts are even out there.
Right.
So
Bushcrafters. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the best thing to do, you know, I do encourage, hey, take pictures of it, look around there. Maybe you can find prints or something. Always look into them for sure. But we just, you know, some of the ones we just never even showed. I'm like, well, I don't want to show like this, you know, just a tree bow and another. Well, it could be, you know, a lot of weather damage does that and things like that. So, but you know, sometimes when I say that, it's, some people seem to get mad. I'm like, I'm not saying it to be. I'm just saying, I honestly think that we have to be skeptical about that.
Right.
Sure, definitely note it. I think you should note anything that looks kind of odd out there, you know. And but like we wouldn't like put it out for everybody to see, you know.
Right. Yeah, you definitely, you know, note where you found it for sure. You know, take some pictures. That way you can compare if you find another one. But also note what you think is strange about it and note what it could be. You know, as far as a rational explanation. You know, put all that in your notes. You know, that way you can look back and say, yeah, well, this one here, you know, the root ball was turned upside down. You know, or something like that. Or this one here, there was no root ball; it's stuck in the ground. Or like the one, like we found one this past weekend, which to me, most likely is a natural thing. Okay. I mean, it was pretty interesting. The one thing that caught my attention from when I looked at it from a distance is, as you know, as many of us do this, especially like in Colorado and stuff, you see the ones that have what they call the floating beam that goes across. Yes. Well, this one had that across the top of it. Whether it's just all natural and fell together, it very most likely could have been. But it was just, that was what caught my eye from a distance. So we went and checked it out and noted that, you know, this is strange, but this here looks like it's natural because you see where it broke off the top, or you know, for a couple pieces. But then there was another like there was two pieces we could tell probably broke from the tree, and then you had that beam. But the other two pieces, they didn't. There was no place from the tree that they came from. And instead of you know when you have ones fall from the tree, the limbs, you know, they're all the limbs are broke off, but the stubs are sticking downward. You know what I mean? Pointing down. Well, the other two pieces that were leaning in, they were sticking up. So they were a complete opposite. And so that's, you know, we documented that. Tammy and I and Dave was in the chat there. We took pictures and documented it and just, you know, discussed what we thought it could be. And we kind of come to the conclusion it's probably more of a natural thing. But it was just interesting. There was two pieces that, you know, were different, you know, or where they come from. So, but they're also in an area where.
Well, like the power of the wind. You know, like in a hurricane, like a little thing of straw could like go through you. And I like even here once, I think it was last year, we had a really bad windstorm. So the next day I go out and I'm looking, and there's twigs. Okay, we had from the little trees, and there was one twig. The twig was about that big, and it was actually stuck in the ground, probably like that much. And it was like boom. The wind took it, must have taken it at an angle and shoved it right in, and it must have been in the ground like that much. Now again, the ground was wet. Don't get me wrong, but still, the power of the wind put that thing in there like that far. And I was like, wow, this is how, you know, maybe some of these, you know, that wasn't no tornado or anything, but it was a bad windstorm. It was a bad windstorm. So again, figure of power of a microburst that goes in one area and then leaves, or a tornado itself. And some of these things, you know, may be the cause of some of these things. Again, I think as long as we, like you said, note them, put them down. And to me, the most interesting thing is still going to be the twists. Now, again, if it's a microburst, it could come down and twist it, or they say bears can do that with their paws. Okay. But I don't know about you. Out of all those phenomena, probably the twist, and especially up high, would be the more interesting ones for me. I don't know about what you think about that.
Well, when I look at the twist, I also I showed this to Bill Rigby, and I actually showed a couple of the people this weekend. When you look at that twist, you also want to look at the structure of the tree, because sometimes there's a scar of some sort that might be along that tree, the vertical scar, and because of the fibers in that tree, when it starts to fall around that scar, it will cause a twisting motion. You
Okay.
just got to look
Yeah.
at it real close.
Okay.
I showed that to Bill up at Shenango on a couple trees. I said, look, you'll see the scar where it started to rotten out, and it looked like it was twisted. We found one like that this weekend, and actually Mason was with us, and I said, hey, what do you think this is? And he's like, it's tree break. And I said, do you think it was natural or whatever? And I showed him how, look up, there was nothing above it. It was open. So snow load most likely brought that tree down. And because of that defect, scar, or whatever you want to call it, in the tree, when it came down, when it pulled, it caused it to twist. I mean, it
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
twists.
That's
I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
it almost twists like, I don't know, it wasn't like 90 degrees, but we're talking like 30, 40 degrees around.
Hmm.
And the reason I know that trees can do that is because years ago I used to work as in tree company or tree trimming company, and we used to do what we call hold to one side of the tree. When you was notching your tree, if you wanted that tree, instead of it to fall straight, you wanted to pull to one side, you'd make sure you cut your side deep on the side that you don't want it to fall. So here's
Yeah.
what I'm
Okay.
trying to explain. You got your notch in the front, and
Hmm.
you start your back cut. If you want that tree to pull to the left, you want to make sure your back cut is holding further out on the left, and that way when it starts to fall, those fibers in the tree will actually make it turn and fall to the left. So
Okay.
that's why a lot of times when I see those, I'll see the scar, and when they start to break over from storm load or something like that, you'll see it. That's the same uh, scenario, I guess you'd say. It causes the pull to one side or the other.
Mhm.
And now I'm not talking like a severe twist. I'm not talking like some people find branches that
Yeah. Yeah.
are twisted.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I
um,
mean. Yeah.
yeah, but the trees that I find that are like 4 inches, 2, 3 inches.
Hmm.
You know, I most generally think those are a lot of majority of them are
Hmm.
natural occurrence. So
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah. That's a good
yeah,
call.
absolutely. So okay, I know here a while back you said you've gotten to the point where you're a little bit burnt out on Bigfoot,
Yeah.
what you said,
Yeah.
and you guys started doing uh, this study of light anomalies. How
Yes.
where, how did that start, and how's it progressed?
Well, it's very, 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 very slow. Last year and a half, we haven't been able to do. Last time that we took it was last year down at the Point Pleasant,
Mm,
and we took it into one of the igloos, and it didn't work. Um, One of the fuses busted, and we forgot to bring. We didn't have any other ones, so the fuse in it didn't work. But we
right.
wanted to do We have a frequency machine basically. It's kind of an extended part. It's a spooky 2 machine, but there's an extended part that we had specifically built for us that it echoed the frequencies.
Mm,
So, but we haven't done anything with it this year, uh, just because we haven't had time.
right.
Um, but so we maybe done like maybe 12 tests on it, 12 frequency tests where we lug it out in the woods or lug it to an area. Done at Beaver Creek a couple of times. We've had one of the most amazing things that would happen with us is we were at Hinsdale, New York, at the Hinsdale House. I don't know if you ever heard
Hmm.
about the Hinsdale House.
Oh yeah.
Very,
Oh yeah.
very haunted. So we did a frequency test there, and there was about 15 people, 14 people. So we did it by they have like a little pond there, okay, and it was on the night. They have a pond. They have wires over it, like not high tension wires, but wires like electrical wires.
Right.
And that night was a severe magnetic storm. So you got all of these factors. You have water, you have the electricity, you had a severe magnetic storm that night. And honestly, we were playing our frequencies, and I forget which frequency, believe it or not, because it's on a piece of paper. But again, I'm getting old, so I forget things. And we did that. Jamie and Jenny were there with us,
Hmm.
and honestly, this thing opened up. You ever see the movie, the series Stranger Things?
I've started watching a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this thing opened up in the sky, and it was like round, and there was lightning around it, and this black plume kind of started to come from it like this, and we must have watched it for maybe 25, 30 seconds. I don't know, maybe 25 seconds. and then all of a sudden it just dissipated. Now I've looked up all kind of different weather phenomena, and I found something that's similar but not exact. Now again, I can't say that our frequencies cause that. You can't, because there's just not enough proof, right? But it was weird. All those like the perfect storm, basically. Could that have influenced something? Could those frequencies have everything together? Could it have made this? I don't know, but it's just one thing. When we did it, this happened. Now, in order to ever get that same series of things that happened, including the severe magnetic storm, which would have been good, like like a week ago, or whenever we had all those northern lights, maybe that would have been different. But and we've done it other times where we did it up at where was it at? Livermore. And when we did it up at Livermore, we did see, again, we were over top of a creek, big creek, Conemaugh River, and we were on a bridge there, like a land bridge. And boy, our friend Patricia Coleman was with us, and she got a video of something that looked like a light sphere, and it looked like it almost broke into two before it went out of sight. So we've had a couple instances where, well, maybe these can influence these bulbs, these spheres, or maybe there's a trigger. We don't know what these things are. Some people say that maybe they're plasma. They call them plasmoids, or plasmas. And somehow they're just something of nature. Some people think they're maybe even sentient. They're intelligent. Because people that have talked about them say that the way they're moving, they're almost moving like they're looking for something. They've been shot at, and they've just broke into pieces and disappeared. I mean, again, are they from UFOs, or are they just a natural phenomenon that kind of like ball lightning that we just don't know enough about? So, but yeah, we still take reports on that, and we do have to get this thing back out in the field. It just hasn't been any time this year, and we are still going to continue it too. So, and yeah, I am burned out on Bigfoot. I think I'm maybe burned out more on the conferences and certain researchers than the actual phenomena. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you probably on that. I was telling my wife, I think it was earlier this year, I said, like, by the end of the year, I'm going to make a decision whether I'll continue to do any. And I've told my wife, I was like, I enjoy it. I enjoy the conferences. I enjoy the little talks and stuff, and I enjoy meeting the people. But it takes so much away from what I really like to do, is getting out there, investigating, researching, meeting people in the field, but I mean, to me, that's the best part of a conference, is when people come up and talk to you. Yeah. And you get that one-on-one, connection with people. But it takes a lot when you start doing, even, well, how many did I do this year? Probably, I had to cancel a couple, honestly. And last year I did several. It just was just a lot, one, preparing for them, two, going, then you have, the money situation with to do them. A lot of them, you're not reimbursed for anything. You do it out of, the love of the field and stuff like that. So, I understand that. But I'd have made a decision, but I think next year I probably won't do, if any. I'm going to be at Bill's. I'm going to help Bill out. Not necessarily, I'm not going to be talking or anything like that, but I'm going to help Bill out. I told him, I promised him last year. I said, hey, I know you with health and everything, you need help, and I'm going to volunteer. I'm coming up, me and the family's going to come up. We're going to help you out. And then maybe I might do the Bigfoot conference next year at West Virginia Bigfoot festival. I don't know. I really don't know. I may do it, but I'm not sure yet. Yeah. It does get tiring. It does get
it does. And look at us. We've actually been doing all the conferences and stuff probably since like 2000, and we've been to probably, honest to God, I mean, because remember, we do libraries, we do UFO, we do ghosts, not just Bigfoot conferences. Actually,
Right.
out of all of them, to be honest, I enjoyed Bigfoot conferences the least. I like the paranormal where you got a different
Yeah.
variety of everything.
Right.
That's like our Butler Paranormal, the one that we co-sponsor. It's always
Yeah.
different things. It's never
Yeah.
just all Bigfoot, and it's just like I said, it burns you out. It's like some of these people want to do 1 or 2 presentations a week or this or that. No, I mean
No.
like I said, we're at the point where that I'm doing 2 in the next 4 days, and then I got 1 more at the end of November, and then we'll go to Bill's. We're not going to set up or nothing, but we'll go to help them, and then there's
Yeah.
March, April, May, and then there's really nothing much in the summer. So
I was going to ask you. You talk about conferences. Are you going to try to do anything at Cabela's again, or is that just like
the last we heard about Cabela's, they were taking that conference room and they were going to like tear it out and not have it anymore. We tried to ask to do it.
Right.
But that's what they told us. So again, now if somebody else would sneak in there and do it, then there's some underhanded stuff, I think. But
Yeah.
we did at least, because of Fred Saluga, we got it back for 1 year at least.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a fun time.
Yeah, we did, we did think that they could have provided a little more help.
Yeah.
Especially with promoting it, but they didn't. They really didn't. And we should have had that room full. I mean, they used to be full before.
Right.
When Dave Dragusin did it. But yeah, it is what it is. I think we try to. I like to do different conferences, different things to speak. Like I don't want to, other than the one we're doing Saturday, which we spoke. This might be our 8th time in like 12 years or 11 years. Other than that one, we don't really like to speak all the time. Like especially like Terry and I, we don't. So if I spoke at one event last year, there's a good chance I'm not going to speak at that event for a long time. You know what I mean? I don't want to, be out there all the time. I'm not like that. We're never like that.
I'm gonna put in here see if anybody's got any questions for you because we're got about almost 10 minutes till half.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian, I'm tired. I'm beat. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to.
We got. Yeah, it's been a rough couple days. I've been. We took on a job down outside of Fairmont, moving about 200 to 250 tons of steel.
Wow.
And guess who got the job of, even though I'm a truck driver, I'm driving my truck as well. Get the job of loading all this steel with a small forklift for the past few days.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a little beat. A little forklift beat me to death and a little bit tired. So anyway, I put in there any questions and see what people come up. Have any? No, nothing yet. There was something I wanted to ask you. Oh, okay. You said you do the paranormal stuff. You've done the paranormal stuff. That's where I started. That was my first love was paranormal. Still, to me, if I would choose it over Bigfoot, if I could, what is the most compelling thing that you've experienced while doing an investigation, or have you had a paranormal experience yourself? I mean, I know I have. Yeah. That's what got me. Yeah.
Well, actually, right here in this house, I'm looking right down the kitchen where I think it was the first year we were here. I was coming out of our bathroom, which is kind of like in the back of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming out towards the kitchen, and from our kitchen, you can see here into the living room. Okay, it's not that it's that long. So I come out and I see this. It looks like an older woman hunched over, going into the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk to the kitchen and I look, and again, I got just a brief glimpse, but it was something there. And I turned into the kitchen and I said, "Tara," she wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I said, and then I turned around and I looked right where I'm sitting, and she says, "What?" That was freaky. That was weird. I'm like, I thought it was her because it looked like a woman, but I know Terry's not hunched or anything, but it just looks like she was slightly hunched over, and just like she was walking into the living room. And then when I said, and then she said, "What?" And I was like, "You God!" I says, "I just saw a ghost." It had to be a ghost because walked into the kitchen. So, and the other thing, I'm trying to think of some other things. When Terry and I were up at Erie, it was at a church that our friend Robin was a pastor at the time. So he takes us downstairs. We walked through the church, and there was allegedly a shadow figure up, like in the offices part, where actually books were flying off the shelves. Now we didn't see any of that, but so we went into the church, and then we went downstairs to like this rec room. And Robin says, "Here, I want to show you the original foundations." So you walked around the corner. It was like a storage room, and you could see the old foundation for the church. So we start taking pictures. Then, remind you, it was only us three. Okay, all the doors were locked, and he had the key. Only one other person had the key. So there were some steps to go down. Then there was a door. There was two doors that had like the like a bar on the door. Like you'd have to push the bar to open it. It was an old church. So we're doing that, and we hear boom, 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 boom. I says, "It sounds like somebody's coming down." I'm hot there. She heard it's like boom, 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 and then that door start rattling. I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go see what it is." So we literally just went right around the corner, and we were there. It's not like you had to move like 100 feet. I mean, it was like right around the corner. Opened the door, nothing there. So I ran up to the steps, and I'm looking for somebody. Is anybody here? Anybody here? Then I walked into the church. There was nobody that possibly could have came in, walked down, and moved those doors.
Yeah.
And literally, I was right there, opened it up, and there was nothing there. That was creepy.
Yeah.
And now, and the last one I'll tell you is we were doing a private residence in Rochester when we were with another ghost group here in Beaver County. And Terry was inside with the owner, and I was outside with the other owner, the husband. She was with the wife and another lady who was in charge of the group. And there was this pool. You know, the plastic pools that you fill up for your kids? You put water in, but you fill it up with air. So it had like this round rim on top of it. So me and him was talking, and we were maybe like 10, 12 feet away. I was looking right at him. All of a sudden, there was a V that was forming in this pool, like something was pressing on it, and all the water starts spilling out. I looked at him, he looked at me, and then it came straight back up like this. There's no way. I mean, that pool was full.
Right.
Somebody had to press that for all that water, and it went down to where the water was, and the water starts spewing out, and then it just came back up. I'm sitting there today, and between those couple instances, I'm like, wow. And it's like we've probably had more experiences doing ghosts than we've ever had with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But it's just, we did it. We were with two other ghost groups here in Beaver County, and then we still do our own on cue.
Right.
So we'll probably do some more. I think we might have a couple more scheduled next year, but not like we're going to do them all the time. Maybe 2, 3, 4 years. But those are some of the good instances we had.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. Because a lot of people don't realize when you start researching the paranormal and spirits or whatever you want to call it, for them to do something that takes a lot of effort is pretty strong. I mean, that spirit or energy or whatever is strong, because most of the time some of the older research tell you that they only can do like a couple pounds worth of whatever, of pressure or move a couple pounds. That would take a lot more than a couple pounds to push that, pool down. So apparently that was a pretty strong spirit entity.
Yeah, that was like so.
Yeah.
And the reason we even went there is they were having issues. I believe they were doing some. They were remodeling the basement is when some of the activity happens.
That's
why we were there. Yeah.
That seems like a common occurrence whenever there's remodeling goes on. It seems like it spikes or spurs the activity. And I never understood exactly why, other than if whatever's there is like not necessarily a residual thing, but has an intelligence to it, and they don't really know what's going on. They still feel that that's their home or whatever. If it is a spirit or somebody in the house, and you go in and start messing stuff up, and they're like, now I'm ticked off. You're messing my house up. Same way with when you hear about the ones that walk through the walls.
Yes.
A lot of times when you look into those, like some of the old plans of the house or something, you find out there was a door there at one time. So, this residual energy is still walking through the doorway, not the wall.
Yes.
But yeah, it's still it was my first love, as far as all the weird stuff. And I really enjoy doing it whenever I get to.
Yeah.
So if I could do it more often, I would, but it just seems like, if several years ago, everybody had a group, everybody, ghost hunters come out, everybody started a group, everybody was doing it. And, I still got friends that do it, that have a couple groups, but it's just not a lot of people out there doing it like they used to be. So, but it's still one of my best interest, or the most interesting thing for me is paranormal stuff. All right. Now we finally got we got a couple questions now. I'm going to put on Tony's here. It says, talking about structures, what do you think about upside down trees with the roots up in the air?
Well, again, maybe that could be some severe, maybe a microburst, maybe even tornado could do that. I don't know if a Bigfoot could do that. Possibly. I mean, I can't think of many other things, could do that.
Yeah. We have another one here from Mark. It's a little bit of a different question. So he's talking about, where you live. He says, so in your area, there were a lot of Indian attacks and predations. Did you ever cross paths with that? And then he put paranormal, like, as far as maybe paranormal, as far as Native American stuff.
Well, I know down in, I think around, actually right across from the Mountaineer Casino is where Chief Logan was massacred. Mm-hmm. And they killed him and his family. I actually drove by it this morning going down to Fred's, but there's a marker there. We're still actually looking and we're still researching the area too. And remember, We've been down here about 3 years, almost the first 6 months were just moving, and we got sick even. So we didn't really do too much the first 6 months. We are going to look into it, and we'll come on another time and have more information on that.
Yeah. Talking about the Indian stuff, and look up the actual, where the name Wheeling come from. There's a pretty dark history about that name. It had something to do with heads being stuck on stakes along the river and all kind of stuff. It's a pretty wild story about Wheeling.
Okay.
If you ever get a chance to look into that. Yeah.
Check that out. They're about an hour from us, so.
Yeah. All right, Brian, we are close on an hour. I'm looking to see if we got any more questions. If not, what I'm going to ask you is, where can everybody find you? What do you got coming up here in the near future? And that normal talk, that normal question, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, well, you can actually, we have both of our groups, Center for Unexplained Events and Center for Cryptozoological Studies. They're both on Facebook, or you can just message me, Brian Seech, on Facebook, and we'll get back to you. And as far as what's coming up, we've got an evening of ghost tales at the Vickery Mansion, which Terry and I are going to give a presentation on mysterious Beaver County, or strange tales of Beaver County, I should say. We're going to talk about a lot of the lore and history of Beaver County, ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, things like that. And then 3 days after, I'll be at the Chippewa, at the Air Heritage Museum in Chippewa, talking about Bigfoot in Beaver County. So we still have to finish up these presentations too. So we'll probably be doing them right after I hang up.
Well, I want to ask you one question. You talk about Beaver County. Is there one? I know in my area you have a couple cryptids. You have the Agua and stuff like that, or Agua, however you want to say it. Is there a certain cryptid for Beaver County? I mean, like a strange. Where was the gargoyle? Was it in Beaver County?
That was in Chicora in Butler County.
Oh, Butler County. Yeah. Okay.
So we basically, what we're famous for here is we're famous for the end of the great UFO chase from Ravenna, Ohio to Conway, Pennsylvania. It ended here in Beaver County. And as far as cryptids, we have a pretty rich history here of cryptids. I think we've had maybe 27 total sightings. Not us personally, but other people. We've had a sighting in 73 of a white creature after there was a UFO sighting. A white creature walked out of the woods with a luminous sphere in his hands. And we've actually, Terry and I have investigated, I think, a total of like 7 white Bigfoot sightings in Beaver County, Columbiana County, that's in Ohio, and Lawrence County, all like in this big triangle. And then also in Chester, there's been 2 in Chester and Hancock County. So there's been a total of, I believe, 11 white creature sightings in the three county area. Maybe the highest in the country, actually. So that's what we're kind of known for down here.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions. I want to tell you thank you for coming on. And
you're welcome. Have fun.
Tell Terry hi. I know she's probably staying there listening, but
yeah, she is. She's just waving.
Yeah, if you see Fred, tell him hey. I never know which Facebook Fred is on.
Oh, he's got like 3, I think.
Yeah. So I never know where to message him at. And I think I still have his phone number, or usually I have to go. I don't know if I got saved in my phone or not. I usually just look in the messages and find it.
Okay.
But yeah,
that's what I always have. Hey. I can always send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell him said hey. Hopefully he's doing better. He's get back on his feet there. And is he still? He's not in the hospital still, is he?
No. He's been home about 3 or 4 weeks.
Good. Because I didn't see an update recently. I might have missed it, but last time I seen he was still in the hospital. So yeah, tell him to get better. Yeah, we need him.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, hey, some weekend, if you're not doing nothing, just give me a call or message me. As long as we're home, you can come down, check it. Bill, when Bill was there, Bill Rigby, he was amazed. He didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Even Heather Moser from Small Town Monsters was here, and she's like, I can't believe how much, So.
Ah, goodness, yeah.
We tell people that, and they can't understand. It's been a passion for us. It's been our lives. They nicknamed us the Mulder and Scully of Beaver County.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard you say that a couple times, but I do have some stuff. Whenever I do come up, I got some printings, old newspaper clippings and stuff that I found from years ago, like 1800 stuff of different stuff. Different giant, related stuff. So I do want to bring that up to you. I don't know if you have anything giant related, but I'd like to.
Not giant sightings in Darlington, PA. They pulled out. There was giants in there in the early 1900s, and there's a historical society there that has some clippings and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean,
very cool.
It's cool. Yeah, if I can find out more of that, I'll make them for you too.
Yeah, that's kind of my new, over the past couple of years, my new interest. I love looking into the giant stuff. It's led me to an area down here where I found a burial mound, an actual Native American burial mound.
Yeah.
That nobody really, not very, very few people knew about it. That was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Now people know about it, because it's been made public. I've put it out there a couple times, and a couple other people went, and I talked to one person at a establishment in Morgantown that was a historian and writing books or doing whatever he was doing. I forget what he was doing, but and it's like, hey, no, we had no idea that was there. And he told me, he said, you're actually changing the history of Marion County. Would you mind, telling us about it? And I did. And I think that's kind of what led to it being more public, because now you can get on Google Maps and it actually shows the burial mound.
Cool.
It talks about it. Yeah. But before you couldn't. Nobody even knew about it except for the couple people that lived right around it. So it's pretty neat stuff. All right, Brian, we don't have any more questions. Like I said, I really want to thank you for coming on.
Sure. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm a little bit stumbly tonight. I'm seriously, I'm beat. I'm really beat.
No, you don't have to apologize. Believe me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be like that if I wasn't on vacation today. So.
Yeah, I've been starting at 7 and quitting at 5 every day.
Yeah.
And out there on that little machines just beat me to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a limited time to get it done. my boss went and bought all of it. They need it out, and we got to get it out. We're supposed to have like 2 weeks. I've got it to where we got 95% of it out in the past 4 days. So
That's good. That's good.
So I've been buzzing my hump. So I'm a little bit on the tired side. Tony's like, great show. Good night, everyone. Tony's a friend of ours that was in the chat. He's from New Jersey. Actually come down to the camp out this weekend. Had a great time.
Cool.
All right, thank you to Tammy. Tammy says great show. So yeah, I'll be with you in a minute, Brian. I'm gonna get ready to shut everything down here and
Okay.
see you in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey folks, thanks everybody for coming. Like I said, apologizing to Brian there. I am beat, folks. It's been a rough week. But as usual, I appreciate everybody coming. I appreciate everybody coming to watch the channel, come watch the show, commenting, interacting with us. Next week, I haven't really got a guest for next week. I'm not sure what I want to do. I'd kind of like to do maybe everybody that was on the camp out. Maybe we can just do a recap of what went on and share some pictures with some folks and talk a little bit about some things we might have found or might not have found, and maybe a couple things that happened that a couple people experienced. Maybe we'll do that. If you'd like to do that, let me know. I'll get everybody lined up for that. If not, I'll see what I can line up for next week. So with that being said, I will see you all again, as soon as I can, probably next week. Bye.